Hey guys, Aaron from PhoneDog.com here, and I have to say it's nice to be back in the saddle after CES. You know, saddle, chair, whatever you want to call it, it's nice to be back and not sitting on the hotel floor in the Venetian. You know, it's just not as comfortable. I like my leather chair. Anyway, I'm here with the Dell Venue Pro today. It's one of many Windows Phone 7 devices that were announced in November of last year. So the industry's full of Windows Phone 7 devices. There are several on each carrier. Does the Dell Venue Pro really make a wave as the last, really the last, of the initial launch devices? We'll find out in the review. Special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile. They've hooked us up with two of these so we can give them away to you in our One Paw Bandit game. At Best Buy Mobile, you walk out working. You don't have to set up your email on your own. You don't have to set up the web. They'll do it for you. Let's jump into the review. Dell Venue Pro review starts right now. So here it is, the Dell Venue. Ooh, let me clean that off first. Here it is, the Dell Venue Pro, available on T-Mobile. You have to order it through Dell. 8GB version, $99.99. 16GB version, $149.99. I can't remember what they are off contract. I think it's like $449 and $499 respectively. I'm not going to bore you too much with the specs because they're pretty similar across the board with all the Windows Phone 7 devices. 1 GHz Snapdragon processor. This is the 8GB models in terms of internal storage. No micro SD card slot. 5 megapixel camera. Windows Phone 7, but the defining features, two defining features of this device, 4.1-inch AMOLED display and a physical QWERTY keyboard. So cool there, and you know it's cool for those people that want to text message, want to email, don't like the physical, or excuse me, the on-screen QWERTY, and want to go for something physical. Outside of the LG Quantum, this is really, at least in the initial batch of devices, this is the only one to go with. Right side, you have your volume rocker, camera shortcut button. Left side, nothing but Chrome goodness. Back side, you have your 5 megapixel camera with a flash, and you have this kind of like texturized battery door here with the Dell logo, Windows Phone. But it's kind of, I can't really explain it on camera. It's kind of a texturized. Let me see if we can get it up close so you can see what it looks like. Kind of texturized, carbon fiber-ish, but not really. Battery door, and then on the back, 1400 milliamp battery, your camera, of course, and then when you slide it up, you see that design is also on the back as well. So to me, you know, the first thing I noticed when I powered the device on is I really like the screen. It's not as oversaturated and just kind of bam as the bam. That's the best word I can think of as the Samsung Focus. You know, the colors are almost oversaturated on the Focus with the Super AMOLED display. Whereas this, you know, it's an AMOLED display, but the colors seem less oversaturated. The blue seems more like a true blue to me, versus being just like an incredibly bright blue like you see on the Focus's Super AMOLED display. So, you know, I happen to care for this screen a little bit more just in terms of, well, both size, because it is a 4.1 inch, and technology. The AMOLED I was very pleased with. So you have the typical Windows Phone 7 stuff here. You have your tiles, which were, you know, as Windows Phone 7, or Windows Phone calls it, they're Metro, based on their Metro UI platform. I can't talk today. It's Metro UI based on subway tiles is what they call it. So you have your programs here, your tiles here. And then, of course, you can pull, let's say you want to pull calculator rather, pin it to the start, and you can access it on the start screen. So it's interesting because it's pretty limited in terms of editing functions. Like, you can move the stuff around, but you really can't do that much beyond that. You can't customize things. For example, you notice that the calendar is a rectangular Metro tile, or tile rather. Well, the messaging one is a square tile. So you sit there and you're like, okay, this is a messaging tile. I could fit, you know, theoretically I could have a rectangular messaging tile. I could see my first 1 or 2 incoming text messages, and that would be pretty cool, you know, to have that. So I should be able to customize it. Well, you can't, at least in the initial version of Windows Phone 7. I can see use for that rectangular style widget in messaging and email and a couple of other things, but they haven't enabled it just yet. Now on the Venue Pro, it has a couple of things in addition to the typical Windows Phone 7 stuff. It has T-Mobile's My Account feature, or My Account application. It has Newsroom, which is very similar to Samsung's Daily Briefing. We'll jump in that in a minute. Page Once feature. And then you have T-Mobile TV and Telenav GPS Navigator. So everything else I've installed. Twitter, weather, YouTube, that's all mine. But let's take a look at Newsroom real quick. It's exactly what you would imagine, obviously, from a newsroom. Kind of like a little pocket CNN. Except it's MSN weather, so I guess MSN's kind of ticked off that I just said CSN or CNN, but just tried to mix CSI and CNN. That's a pretty big testament that I'm exhausted. Harrisburg and Concord, 2 cities that are right outside of the Charlotte metro area. Denver and Las Vegas, places that I've either been in or want to that I'm going to in the next couple of weeks. You can see Concord, for example, 30 degrees, and it's snowing right now. So it's actually snowing in Charlotte as well. I would show you, but you came for the phone review. You know, you don't want to see the snow out the window, but I will say I built a snowman this morning. Now you can see the, actually I didn't really build a snowman, but that's a lie. But you can see Denver, Las Vegas, and you can scroll over and see the weather there. And then of course you can see the news, top news, business, technology, sports, entertainment, health, things of that nature. You can program your stocks, and then you can go directly to those. And of course, you have your locations here, but if we scroll over, we can edit those locations. We can go to stocks and edit those and see the percentage of the decimals and more in the newsroom program. So jumping out of that program, kind of going back to the design, just something I thought about. I know this is kind of jumping around. One thing this device has going for it, not only the display, but the actual technology of the display is pretty interesting. It's very much a curved display, so you can see on the bottom with the speaker and the micro USB charging port, you can see that it's a curved display. So it works out well for me, at least when you're typing or when you're doing something, and you're looking at a picture, something like that. The curved display really helped me use the on-screen keyboard and things of that nature. So let's jump back into programs and take a look at messaging, for example. And you'll see, for the most part, I was very pleased with it. And you can see, let's go into very good keyboard. And I say that as I'm typing all incorrectly. Let me turn the sound back on. That usually helps. Love the sound of this. There we go. So hey there, how are you doing? So you can see, I like the curved screen. I think it works well. I think the 4.1 inch display is kind of a nice balance between the 3.7 or 3.8 inch displays and then the 4 inch, 4.3 inch displays. It's a nice little balance in between. A little bit bigger than the Focus, but a little bit smaller than the HD7. And of course, you can use it in portrait or in landscape mode. And then of course, you have the physical QWERTY as well. So let's see what the Quick Brown Fox is up to today. The Quick Brown Fox is building a snowman. I don't know what my thing is with snowman today. Snowman. So you can see the keys, they aren't island keys, rather they're 4 rows, and you have your dedicated space row, which has always been a big thing for me. I like to have that dedicated row for symbols, for spacebar, things of that nature. And then you have your non-island keys up here. They're tactile, they feel good. And in all honesty, I've been pretty pleased with the keyboard. I haven't used this device in a couple of days because I've been gone at CES. So prior to that, I was pretty used to the keyboard, both on screen and physical. But let's see, is building a snowman and is in a snowball fight. So you can see, quick keyboard, easy to use, no challenges there. It's a typical Windows Phone 7 keyboard, and actually it's pretty good. And like I've shown you in previous videos, if you go to the brown, highlight it, let's say Browns, instead of building or snowman, you meant to say showman. The Quick Brown Fox is building a showman. Say that 3 times fast. And is in a snowball fight. So you can see quick, easy to change by highlighting the words. So say what you will about Windows Phone 7, but one thing that it does have going for it, it's very simple and easy to use. Now granted, it's a version 1 product, but still, for somebody that's new to the smartphone field, somebody that's migrating up from a feature phone, whatever, it's very simple, very easy to use, and is a good transition for those people that want to upgrade and want to migrate into a smartphone. Speaking of people, let's take a look at what it's like to add a contact. We'll add the first name. We'll make it Billy. Little Billy Johnson. Little Billy Johnson, his nickname is Wild Bill. So you can see you can add the name, and it's all very fluid. And then of course you can use the keyboard as well. Now one thing this has going for it, no multitasking. I shouldn't say that's a negative, but one thing it has going for it, that lack of multitasking, translates into a little bit of a speed boost. You'll see transition effects very fast across the board in Windows Phone 7. I rate this one just behind the HD7 in terms of overall transition speed, which I'll show you in just a second. But let's just say his phone number is, we'll close that and get back into phone number. Say it's 1234, and you hit save. Sorry for that noise. That's sleet hitting the window if you're wondering what that is, if you can hear it. So Billy Johnson's in here, and you can see the transition effects are just fantastic. It's masked by the fact that they've done a really good job in terms of the user interface, with those transition effects. But it's still much better than, Android has a lot of fantastic features, but one thing it still kind of lags behind in transition effects. It's very blocky, it's just a blocky like landscape portrait. So you get the idea. It's very nice in Windows Phone 7. That's something for, first-time smartphone buyer. They're going to look at that and say, hey, that's a nice benefit. This is a very pretty looking user interface.